next up, a bit of a change of pace here. We're going to have a talk delivered by Gus Miner, the CTO at Sofvie, to talk about integrated maintenance and safety. I think there's going to be some workforce thrown in there as well. So come on up here, Gus.
I'm going to take this off because I can't stand in one place. Hypercated me. So thanks for everybody for being here. And first off, I got a couple of things that I want to put as a rule. I am getting in the way of your lunch. So if you feel like you're drifting off and you're super hungry, just raise your hand and say, Gus, I'm hungry. And then we'll wrap it up and get out of here. Okay, so that's a deal that I want to make with everybody. The other one is, can I get a show of hands of how many operators or contractors or anybody that's running an operation in mining that are here? Right on. Okay, well, it's good. So thank you for being here and being part of the conversation. And we need to do a lot more of that so that we can get a lot more participation. But because it also segues into what we're going to present today, or what I'm presenting today about innovation and what it means to implement innovation or to solve problems that you have in the workplace, and how we've challenged things at Sofvie. Before I get going, I want to put a little context in there as far as how to involve everyone in the conversation when you're trying to solve problems, and to really see how your solution transforms in the hands of people. Because we all have an idea of what we want to solve, we all have an idea of what the problem is, but then you put it in the hands of people and you're like, shit, I didn't see that coming to fruition, but that's a good one, right? So it's good to make sure you bring as many people at the table to see what's going on. So from a leadership perspective, what I would want everybody to just kind of, you can even close your eyes if you want to do this exercise, but think about a moment where you felt like you were on top of the world in your role, in your position, and what you were doing, and that it was the highest level of productivity you've ever had in your life. You've had leaders around you supporting you and making sure that was happening, and that people around you felt you felt like you were getting good collaboration. Just everything was perfect. Have you ever had one of those moments, or are you living that moment now? Maybe a show of hands, right? Where it's just exciting to get up in the morning and do your job and to be part of something that's greater than you, greater than yourself, and that you're really contributing to the organization, the world, and your family, and so on. So if you think about that thought and you just hold on to that, and you can decide later what kind of leader you want to be, we can revisit that conversation. So a brief introduction. Sofvie, we specialize in transforming the workplace experience for workers in mining. And we do that through transparent digital processes, and enabling everybody to go home safely, but also feeling reward from the work they've done every day, and being part of the bigger picture. So this is just an example of all the moving parts we handle, and I show that because there's just a lot of things that are happening in the mine site every single day that sometimes we forget about. And all of these dots represent some kind of paper slip or Excel sheet or whatever the case may be. But we have a massive demand on the workplace to produce information based on our mine plan and based on our strategies. And somehow that information has to come back to a data center so that we can make better decisions. And they're just not. They're just disjointed processes that are sitting in banker boxes all over the place, and there's no way that you're going to get any kind of real information that's valid from the field. So that's what we're here to make a little bit more cohesive in the workplace. So some of the key challenges today that are happening in just about every work environment, really, is that you've got a workplace experience issue, right? We're transitioning into a new workforce. And the biggest thing is that when you're working with people, there are three fundamental pillars that are required for people to perform and to show up. They need to feel safe in their position, right? Safe to communicate, safe to report, safe in your personal safety. They have to feel significant as a contributing member of society or a contributing member in their team. And they have to be situated. What do you want from me anyways? Right? And a lot of times, if one of the pillars don't exist, you get some massive issues and you get turnover. So it's all part of also the issue we talked about with disjointed processes and so on. So I'm not going to go through all this, but what I want to focus on today is what the impacts are when it comes to equipment maintenance and how it matters to have as many people as part of the conversation as possible, so that it's not just a maintenance team running around trying to solve the world's problems, just like an IT help desk. I'm sure everybody here has that experience, or I can't print, what's my password? Like, God damn, can't you just remember that thing and then we can move on with our lives? Like, let's participate into being a solutions provider together. And this is what we've seen with maintenance, is that the maintenance accounts for 30 to 50% of your annual costs of operations. It's a significant number to keep all your equipment running. And the thing is that most of the time it's unplanned and it's reactive, because nobody knew that it was about to fail. Nobody knew that there was an issue in the workplace. And that accounts for 3 to 9 times more cost into doing a reactive maintenance versus preventative. So the average incident, just so everybody kind of paint a picture, about $180,000 per incident that happens on a piece of equipment, right? And most of these incidences can impact an organization at a large scale, up to $10 billion a year put in to keep this equipment running and all the infrastructure and the maintenance around it. So it's a massive problem to tackle, and unfortunately, sensors are not enough, because sensors will tell you what you need to know, but if you don't have a human at work that cares about what that sensor is telling you, or does the Homer Simpson and you got your duck that just keeps hitting the button, that sensor is powerful at that moment, isn't it? So it really is important to have an engaged workplace. And what we've done here is, one of our clients, they declared the opportunity to have an integrated maintenance strategy, which means that every single worker touching a piece of equipment is part of the maintenance plan. They're part of the strategy and how to reward that. So it's not just maintenance putting out fires, but it's operations and maintenance working together to keep things moving forward, right? We gotta keep moving forward. So from that, one of our clients that take this on, they did an 18-month data collection exercise, and also we call it digital transformation for the most part, but in essence, when you're putting something new in place, it's a cultural transformation. Anything you put in place, you have to get people to do things differently. It's a cultural impact, right? So if you're not tackling it as a leader, as a cultural initiative, the digital part just falls apart. So what we've seen with this organization is, over the course of 18 months, they were able to get their prime movers to have 95% availability throughout the entire term of that 18 months, which was unheard of. Their average statistically was 57%. So on average, maybe half the time my gear is available for me to operate, right? So we got them to 95%. The other one is that when it comes to your bolters and trucks and scoops, those are shift exhausters. Like, if you show up and you're trying to do your work and that machine just all of a sudden becomes unavailable, you don't recover that time. It just goes on to the next shift. So you get shift delays, you got scheduling issues, you got overall rework that has to get done, you got people that are essentially just kind of burning money. So we got to get on top of that. So it was very, very good to see that we were able to get over in the 90 percentile with this group, so that we can keep the project moving forward. And what happens is that they were able to leverage Sofvie to enhance the communications, to find out what's going on with the pieces of equipment on a daily or even hourly basis, right? I'm noticing this part is sweating more than normal. Is this normal? Oh, we actually had an instance where, while they were fueling the truck, they noticed that the fuel pump was a little bit wet. Took a picture, reported the issue transparently, brought it up. They saved a premature failure on that pump, which would have cost about $280,000. They did it by just replacing an O-ring of $15, right? So that's the impact that an integrated maintenance system would have, is by having everybody be able to transparently report what's going on and feeling that they're safe and heard in passing on that message. You can now have some really good preventative maintenance programs happening all day, every day, rather than having major outages when you're fixing big problems and costly problems. So this is the cost breakdown of what that 18 months signified for this organization, is that they had a budget in place, because they had a very, very fixed budget of what that project had to be delivered under. They put together a budget of what they thought, based on normal standards, the operational costs were going to be for a piece of equipment. and they were able to get below the 50 percentile of that budget. Right? So imagine how awesome that workplace or the team that was part of that project felt like, and at the same time, that's a little bit extra cash that you can use to put into your human capital rather than into your piece of equipment from reactive maintenance. So we talked about it earlier, and I got triggered in the early conversation because transparency is key to make this happen. We need to know what's going on directly from the field, not make assumptions. And for as long as reporting is punitive in any way, you're never going to know the truth. You're never going to know what needs to happen. And in contrast, it should almost be punitive to not report. Like the standard here is that we report so we can be better as a team and keep moving forward. But having people safe to be able to communicate on a regular basis, whether it's been reported already, that doesn't matter. Like I work with organizations that are like, well, if somebody already said that there's an issue here, I don't want to hear about it anymore until I fix it. No, I want to hear about it 25 times. If you're slow at repairing it, and we now know from our data that it's been reported 26 times, what can we do next time to bring it down to 13 or 18 or 7 or 1, right? It's not just the Homer Simpson silence the button until I get to it, because in that moment, you will forget about it and you will have failure. So the other side is accountability. Because we put the right systems in place, we were able to depend on the reporting system to help us out so that when something did occur that was outside of the norm, we can actually pinpoint down to the hour or even the shift where the reporting fell apart for us, right? And then we were able to hold the people accountable to say, why didn't you say it? The pictures that you took show it blatantly that there's an issue here. What was a concern? And then what happens from a leadership perspective is, well, I was afraid because it was damaged and it wasn't me. I didn't want to get blamed for it, so I didn't say anything. And he said, no, you're not going to get blamed or penalized for reporting damage that you just walked up on. Our goal is to make sure our equipment is running at all times. And how much did that affect your personal bonus? Didn't you lose a bonus that shift? Cool. So let's not have that happen again. Let's get this piece of equipment running. Let's get you paid. This is what you're here to do, right? And this is how you want to feed your family. So building that psychological safety is super important in the workplace in order to do that, and that transparent communication is the only way to do it. And of course, we make it very accessible, right? Easy to do. And I'm wearing these socks right now, but we actually interviewed one of our workers and we said, why do you love the platform so much? Because we're getting a lot of pull directly from the workforce to put the platform in place. He said, well, why are you guys pulling for this? Why do you guys love it so much? He says, well, for us, it's super simple. It's easy, it's fast, and it covers my ass. That was the slogan, so now we're running with that, right? But it's about making it accessible and easy to keep moving forward together as a team. So that being said, there's a massive, massive impact when you're trying to make this movement or this shift that needs to happen, and it has to be done in a positive way, right? Encouraging the behaviors you're looking for so that the behaviors that you don't want eventually just start fading away, right? It becomes socially unacceptable to not report. It becomes socially unacceptable to not participate in the program, right? You're impacting somebody else's ability to earn funds, or you're impacting the project, or you're impacting the operations by not taking part of it. So, and it also helps reduce turnover. I mean, you want to go to a workplace that you feel significant, that you feel like you matter, and that there's no guessing. Am I doing a good job? Maybe. I don't know. Nobody's saying anything. I don't know, maybe I'll try something different. No, just keep that conversation alive and reward when the work is done well, reward it. We all know when it's not done well, we get something that comes with that, right? So why do we want to focus on all our problems all the time? Let's start focusing on all the things that are going well. So one of the ways to move forward, so if you want to implement this in some of your organizations, whether it's equipment maintenance or otherwise, you have to declare the possibility. So at the beginning of this, when we said we want to get equipment used for 18 months and returned back in the same condition as when we brought it in, what does that look like? And at first there was some naysayers. They were like, there's no way, mining's rough. We beat stuff up. It's just how it goes. We said, but if we declare the possibility of this working, we can do it. And as a result of this declaration, this was done directly by that team. They declared that they can shift the needle from reactive maintenance to proactive maintenance together as a team. And as a result, they had put in 2 brand new 60-ton haul trucks into this project, brand new. They ran both of them for about 1,700 hours over the course of 18 months. At the end of the 18 months, the only thing those trucks needed, because they never had a punctured tire on any equipment, they never had to replace a tire on any equipment, they didn't have to replace any parts at all. So at the end of the 18 months, so imagine this, especially in a mining environment, they were able to just replace the bed liners in the truck box and sell it for about 98% of what they bought the trucks for. That's all they had to do. No paint job, no tire change, no nothing. They just washed it, bed liners, off you went. And that was unheard of. That organization was celebrating. It's something they'd never seen before. So, and it all started with a team declaration together. They had a meeting with all the operators and everything. We can do this as a team, let's do it. And at the end, they all got rewarded for it. So what we do at Sofvie is that we help organizations do this, where first, we support you by digitizing a lot of your processes, right? Like, let's make it accessible, let's put it in the system, let's make sure that people can freely report properly and be part of the ecosystem. Then we create that visibility. What's the data telling us? What can we do to leverage information that's coming directly from the field? And then we drive engagement. Hey, everybody, we're seeing this trend. What can we do about it? Hey, we're seeing this trend. This is fantastic. Keep up the great work. Get that engagement working, because we know that an engaged workforce, or anybody, we talked about that occurrence earlier, right? When you felt like you're a rock star and you're able to do whatever you want, that's engagement, right? An engaged workforce is going to be a safe one, and they're also going to be a very productive one, right? So people coming to work and not liking where they're working and just collecting a paycheck, you're going to get what you're going to get, right? And that's one of the things that earlier in the conversation, it struck me around transparency. I've been trying to get, my son and just his friends, and even my wife. I brought her to mining. It spit her out as fast as she went in, not because of how she was treated, because she called bullshit on the industry. She was like, I don't want to go to work and get lied to all the time. Everything's fine. There's a fire behind you. That image that you see on the internet, there's a big fire at the person's desk, and don't worry about it. Everything's fine, right? You can't sugarcoat when things are going wrong. You'd be like, God damn, that's terrible. Let's fix that, right? But that's why she left, because she felt like she was being lied to. Can you imagine that? And then I talked to my 18-year-old son that's now in a trades, and it's a very attractive, he'd be an amazing asset to bring into the mining sector. And he and his friends told me, I don't know why you keep trying to get us into mining. We're not going. And I said, well, why aren't you going? Because we don't want to be shackled by the wages. So what do you mean? It pays really well. There's like, that's the problem. Mining throws money at problems instead of solving it. So now we're going to get nice big houses, and we're going to get nice big mortgages, and now we're going to be stuck in mining forever. And this is an 18-year-old telling me this, right? 18-year-old. And that's how they see the world already. They would rather make less, be happy where we work with, have fun with the friends around us at the workplace, and move forward. So I think the big challenge that we have in mining, outside of innovation and things that we can do to accelerate things from a hardware component and from sensor, we have a major HR issue. We got to communicate how we do things better and giving people a voice in the workplace. And that's what we do at Sofvie, is everybody has a voice to contribute. They're a contributing member of the day. They're the heroes of their own story, and they can be proud of it and like going to work. So if you want to learn more about what we do, I got the QR code there for my LinkedIn. Hopefully this was informative and it didn't get in your way of your lunch too much. But I got a lot of passion when it comes to people, and we cannot forget about the human being at work at any time. We want more humans to come in, even though we might be able to do with a little bit less humans, because now we got automation, stuff like that. At the end of the day, we still need people, and we got to make sure that people continue to support the sector. And the only way to do that is to transform our leadership styles. Thank you.
Thank you, Gus, for your presentation and your passion. Certainly a topic that we need to spend a little bit more time on discussing in the mining industry, not just always celebrating the solutions and the technologies, but also thinking about the people involved in bringing those and operating them on a day-to-day basis. So thank you.